G'day everyone, it's Sailor MB here, and today I'm going to be showing you my 100% automated Minecraft brewing stand tutorial. Now this is the ultimate redstone design for anyone like me who is an incredibly lazy Minecraft player. I don't want to have to be going back to the brewing stand every 10 seconds to reload the ingredients for the next 3 potions. I just want it to keep brewing the potions until I run out of ingredients. And that is what this brewing stand contraption does. Now I'm going to be showing it to you in survival Minecraft first, because I want you guys to see it function in a survival setting, and then we'll switch over to single player creative, where I've got it laid out really neatly, and it doesn't matter if you've never used redstone before. I'll explain the components of it to you in just 100% layman's terms, and I promise you it'll be very easy to understand, and you'll be able to recreate it in your own Minecraft world without needing to do that whole thing where you copy every single block exactly. So this is the front facing section of the brewing stand here. It's only 5 blocks wide. This is a very streamlined version, and I will show you a slightly amped up version as well. So you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 facing blocks. You got water loaded into the right hand side into the brewing stand, and on the left hand side is you have the droppers facing upwards, dropping the ingredients into the top of the brewing stand, and then the results come out the bottom. So we'll flick this lever on so you guys can see this working in a survival setting before we switch to creative. You see the bottles filled up, and we've got the nether wart in the top there, with the sugar and the redstone ready to go. So while that brews, we'll break into the back here, and you can see some of the redstone. Now, don't get too overwhelmed by any of this. I've simplified it a lot in creative mode. I just haven't pushed those changes through to survival. But it's a very, very simple design. At the back here, this is the crux of it. This is the clock. And you can see the cobblestone moving between these 2 hoppers here. And that's what tells the brewing stand that when it's finished the first 3 potions, it's to remove the completed potions from the bottom of the brewing stand and then load the next round of ingredients. And this will just keep going until you either turn it off or you run out of ingredients. So there we have the clock switching over, and you can see the redstone signal carried up there, and that means we are now on to our second batch. So we have our first 3 completed potions in here, and the second batch is ready to go. Now we can turn this off at any time, and it will always complete the potions that are in there, which is great, so it'll never leave you with half-finished potions. So now that you've seen this in action in survival, let's switch over to creative, where I can give you a proper explanation of how everything works, and everything is laid out super neatly. So I'll be back in a minute. See you guys soon. Okay, so here we are in creative Minecraft single player, and you can see my 3 iterations of this build here. We're not going to go into my prototype trial and error on the right hand side here. We'll skip straight to this one, which is just a recreation of what I've done in survival. So it's just the basic 3 dropper setup for 3 ingredient potions, and it will keep brewing until you turn it off. So we have the on-off lever at the front there. It goes underground and pops up here, and this is the crux of the build, the clock. Now this design I just pulled straight off the Minecraft wiki. That has a ton of great information on it and some very cool redstone stuff, but it can be a bit hard to understand. So I'll give you guys a quick explanation now. We have these 2 hoppers that face each other that basically just transfer these items back and forth between each other, and it's the rate at which they transfer items back that determines when the signal is sent to the rest of the brewing contraption. So we've got it at 80, which is a few seconds longer than the brewing stand needs to make a 3 ingredients potion. So we have these comparators here that face into the hoppers, and basically they detect whether the hoppers are full or empty, and then they correspondingly send the signal around to the pistons, which move the redstone block. And the redstone block does two things. It locks out one of the hoppers, so it can't pull or push, and only the other one can. And that redstone block will also then send the signal to the rest of our machine. And so it stays like that for about a minute, and then it will move back to its previous position. So every minute it sends out a continuous redstone pulse through this circuit. But hoppers and droppers don't work just from being turned on. They work from being turned on and then off again. So we need to convert the solid signal that this redstone block gives here into a pulse. And that's what this second grid square of the machine is. This will convert the solid signal from the redstone block into a pulse. So we have 3 repeaters here, all on maximum delay, and then that signal is inverted with this redstone torch here. And then that feeds into an AND gate. So what that does is this signal on the inside here that has no delays in it will immediately switch to on, whereas this one gets delayed. So for about a second, both these signals, both these inputs into the AND gate are displaying as an on, which means we get an on signal on the other side of the AND gate. And then when this signal with the repeater delay catches up, this will turn off, this will stay on, so then the AND gate will turn off again. So all this middle section does is convert the continuous pulse from the redstone block, the continuous signal from the redstone block into a single pulse for the rest of the machine. And then this third block here just distributes that pulse of redstone to the appropriate components in the appropriate order. So without any repeater delays, the signal comes around here and feeds into the 3 droppers. Now it's very important to make sure you have the ingredients in the order they need to be brewed in, because that is the order that the redstone signal will hit the dropper, and that's the order that the ingredients will cycle down the hoppers into the brewing stand. So make sure you have those ingredients in order. At the same time, it's feeding into the droppers. It's also coming down here and deactivating this redstone torch briefly, which allows this bottom hopper to remove any completed potions from the brewing stand and deposit them into the chest. And then while that's going on, the redstone signal is slowly making its way through these delayed repeaters, because the last thing you want the redstone pulse to do is to activate, or deactivate rather, this hopper, so it fills the empty water bottles into the brewing stand. Now it's very important that feeding into the brewing stand and pulling from the brewing stand happen at different times. Otherwise, this hopper will just keep pulling from the first slot, and this hopper will just keep filling into the first slot of the brewing stand. So you'll get 1 completed potion out of the brewing stand, and then you'll get 2 water bottles that just filter into the first slot and then filter out again straight away, leaving another full potions in the second and third slot. So that's why the top hopper needs to be delayed in order to create that difference between the input in and the output in of the potion bottles from the brewing stand. So we'll flick this switch on, and now that we can see some of the redstone, it will happen very quickly. In fact, I might slow it down in post just so you can see how the redstone travels through this network. So we'll quickly flick this on, I'll jump up into the air, I'll slow the video down, and you can see how the redstone pulse moves throughout the circuit. There we go. We'll see how that one looks after it's slowed down. But you can see here, even though the redstone is given a continuous signal up to the AND gate, you can see we've stopped it moving into the rest of the circuit because our second block here has converted the consistent redstone signal into a pulse. And now this will just continue cycling through until all three ingredients have been cycled into the brewing stand, and then it will just keep going and going and going. It will stop when you run out of water bottles. That is usually your constricting ingredient there. And you want to make sure that is the case because you don't want to get half brewed potions if you run out of one of your other ingredients. So let's just make sure this is daytime. And we'll move on, and you can hear the brewing stand working away there. It's onto its second batch now, and we've got our first 3 potions of speed. We'll leave that one on, and we'll come over to the slightly more complicated version. Now, don't get overwhelmed with how intimidating this looks. It is, for all intents and purposes, exactly the same as the gold one over there. It's just expanded out to have all the ingredients lined up in the hopper for you. The clock is exactly the same. The circuit to convert a solid signal to a pulse is exactly the same. And then the redstone to distribute to the various parts of the hopper, the brewing stand, the potion chest, the lower chest. It's all exactly the same. The beauty of this one is you don't have to keep replacing the 3 ingredients with what you want. You can have them all constantly loaded, and as you can see, we have levers on the front of these ones. These are all in the on position, but as we discussed over there, with the hoppers and droppers only working when they're turned off and on again, by having them in a constant on position, you're actually locking these droppers out. So it doesn't matter what signals are fed into the back of them. If you've got a positive redstone signal feeding in the front, it means that they're locked out and they won't be used. So we've got some splash fire resistance potions in here already from when I was experimenting. But we have enough empty water bottles. So let's just turn something on and see what we can do. So we want some nether wart in that one. Let's go magma cream. And I'm not sure, it's either redstone or glowstone, I don't know which one it is, I'll be honest. So the only trick with this one is that when we turn these levers off again, which actually sends the redstone signal, it will deposit a single ingredient of that through the whole system. So after we're done brewing these ones, we just have to make sure we clear the brewing stand out of anything that we have in there before we proceed. So we've got those levers set for what we want to brew. So we'll flick that on. The redstone signals comes through the back, sends it to the various components, and we have our first 3 potions brewing here. How do we turn weather off? Clear, for sure. That didn't appear to do it. There we go. So our potions are brewing away. We'll jump back over to this one quickly, see what sort of progress it's made. And yep, it's completely run out of empty water bottles. And it's still feeding ingredients in. So you just got to turn that off, remove those ingredients, put them back in the hoppers if you like. But then you can see you've got full speed potions in the output chest there. And we'll see how our beefed up version of this contraption is going. So we've got our first batch of fire resistance potions, the hopper's activated to pull the ingredients out, and the hopper's upgraded to push the next ones in again. And then we can see we've got our fire resistance potions down the bottom here. So as I said before, you can turn this off at any time, and it will always finish the potion it is doing. When you go to change these ones, if you want to change to a different potion afterwards, just make sure you check this and pull the excess ingredients out before you start brewing your next one. So there we have it, guys. That is my automated brewing tutorial. I really do hope the redstone explanation was adequate, because I know firsthand how overwhelming some of it can be. But I think ultimately it is a really simple design. You've got the clock, you've got the section to convert the continuous clock pulse into a continuous clock signal into a pulse, and then you just have that signal distributed throughout the rest of your system. So I hope you guys have got something to take away to your own survival worlds, and I will definitely be making this now in any survival worlds I enter. It makes potion brewing ridiculously easy. You don't have to continuously monitor your system. You can just flick the lever, walk away, come back, and you've got a full double chest full of potions ready to go. So it's crazy easy to do, and I would encourage anyone to do that initial setup, and then you're just set for the rest of your survival game. So have a good one, guys. Thanks for watching, and catch you around out there.